Hey, folks, what's going on? Since I'm traveling today, I'm recording from a laptop, so the audio and video quality won't be as good as it usually is, but the content will still be there. And to be honest, Donald Trump has been quite busy, so there are a lot of pretty strange things that I need to discuss with you guys here. He has a lot of activities going on. Regarding tariffs, he's been making significant announcements. He's bringing up the idea of Canada becoming the 51 state once more. Of course, senators from the US government are also introducing some massive laws into Congress. Therefore, I believe that several of these factors will soon have a significant effect on the markets. Furthermore, yesterday we witnessed a huge sell off. The markets are currently rebounding, but price action will shortly follow. I want to start by discussing the actual situation. For example, what about tariffs? What is this trade war about? What's happening in the US and Canada? Since that is currently having the biggest effect on the markets. As we can see, President Trump recently stated that Canada becoming our 51 state is the only sensible course of action. Additionally, he stated that, in his own words, this would completely eliminate all tariffs and everything else. Therefore, I believe that Donald Trump is now clearly stating his position and the real justification for the tariffs. Has a goal, and that goal is to reintegrate Canada into the US. Now, this is something I've been stating from the beginning. I never imagined that any substance was the real reason for the tariffs. That was always an excuse, in my opinion. Canada has always been the 51 state, according to Donald Trump. Right now, as a Canadian, I genuinely want this to occur. Do I agree with Trump's strategy of placing the blame elsewhere, Not always. However, I will never be able to tell for sure if it was his precise plan. We only know that he wants to combine the United States and Canada at this particular moment. Now, it doesn't really matter how I feel about any of it because the markets will be significantly impacted. Canada has been extremely clear about their position. They stated that they will continue to hike tariffs on their end and that they will battle this issue rather than simply letting it happen. Now, I do believe that Canada will suffer far more economic harm from this than the US will. Additionally, I believe that generally given a lot of what Donald Trump recently declared, this will have an impact on Canadian business and might perhaps render it irreparably crippled if a solution is not found soon. Therefore, we will discuss that in a moment. However, I also want to discuss Ukraine. According to reports, Ukraine is now prepared to sign a minerals deal with the United States, which would essentially return all of the money that the United States gave to Ukraine without providing a clear path for reimbursement. Since this is a component of a ceasefire agreement, there are several reasons why it is significant. Therefore, whether it's stocks or cryptocurrencies, a post-war surge is a very real occurrence in the investment market. Additionally, quantitative easing typically begins at that time as well. We're likely to see industrial investment, quantitative easing, and an expanding economy in order to take advantage of a US minerals deal. The US will also need more liquidity in order to exploit all of these additional resources. In essence, what I'm arguing is that after this truce and peace agreement are reached, the money printer is probably going to continue. There will be an abundance of minerals in the United States. There are essentially two significant events taking place at the moment. On the one hand, tariffs have the potential to cause inflation over time. Additionally, there is a U.S. minerals deal that is likely to trigger quantitative easing, which is inflationary once more after the peace agreements are reached. Everyone has a lot more motivation to buy cryptocurrencies thanks to these two factors. People will seek for alternate fiat money systems, which is why this is so crucial for XRP holders in particular. That's cryptocurrency. What happened as a result of the government printing enormous sums of money during the previous cycles in 2021, such as hundreds of billions and finally trillions of dollars? Consequently, Bitcoin's value increased from about $5,000 to, I believe, $70,000 at its highest point during that cycle. Regardless of how you look at it, that is more than 10 times the gains, and other cryptocurrencies saw much bigger gains. Solana and other altcoins performed wildly. Therefore, I do believe that the lack of trust in their government will likely lead to an increasing number of individuals turning to cryptocurrencies. Break down this U.S. Ukraine mining transaction, please. In other words, Ukrainians don't trust their government to act in their best interests. In essence, Zelensky sold off his nation in order to maintain his hold on power for as long as possible. He's trying to continue the conflict that he frightened Russia into, and the only way it will end is if the US says it won't give you any more money now that the Trump administration is in power and Zelensky has no other option. If he doesn't, he runs the possibility of losing Ukraine entirely, and as I have stated, Russia isn't even interested in doing this. So what's happening there is just complete madness. But, it looks like peace is coming, and that's crucial because once again, all of these fantastic events, including quantitative easing and tariffs, will eventually benefit cryptocurrencies. Since things are getting pretty heated between the US and Canada, I want to return to tariffs for a moment. Therefore, President Trump has criticized Canada for its 25% electricity tariff. Here's what he said now. He refers to Canada when he adds, they will pay a financial price, because it's so significant that history books will continue to discuss it for years to come. This is a big statement, of course. In essence, Trump is claiming that he will totally destroy the Canadian economy. To be honest, I do believe him. I have no doubt that he is well capable of achieving it. The economy of the United States is over 10 times that of Canada. Furthermore, Canada is more dependent on the US than the US is on Canada. I hate to tell it, but the truth is that it's simply the case. The world's largest economy is that of the United States. They do have a lot more clout in this case because they are the world's reserve currency. Indeed, Canada can fight and attempt to hit Americans where they hurt, but in the long run, our main industry, the energy sector, will be entirely devastated, leaving the Canadian economy completely handicapped. In the short term, the United States has sufficient oil reserves and methods of obtaining it, while Canada lacks the means to make up for these losses. If the United States cuts ties with Canada, it will take 5 years before Canada can construct a refinery of the size of the US to guarantee that they can fill that demand gap. However, the United States doesn't actually need us in that role and can easily keep refining their own oil. The Canadian government's egregious stupidity in allowing this to occur is what this is. It's utterly foolish that we didn't have our own refineries. Therefore, the Canadian side is simply lacking in leadership. Furthermore, I can't really hold Trump accountable for his actions. His only goal is to act in America's best interests. Indeed, it would be better for America if Canada became the 51 state because, presuming they accept and own it, they could then examine all of the egregious overspending that occurs in the Canadian government. What they're doing with Doge at the moment, and since Canada is a part of the US, they could make sure that all the money they're giving it isn't squandered anymore, right? Therefore, I completely understand Trump's perspective and support many of his actions. I have to respect his business sense, even though I may not like it since I'm Canadian. President Trump is currently discussing increasing steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada to 50%. Canada's anti-American farmer tariff, which has long been deemed absurd, must be promptly removed. It ranges from 250% to 390% on a variety of US dairy products. This is just one more way that Trump could easily destroy Canadian economy in a completely other industry than oil, gas, and energy.